Hello Zenith women, and welcome to the channel. Sometimes the strongest move is not to fight but to walk away and let the silence do the talking. In a world obsessed with noise, drama, and relentless socializing, there exists a rare breed of women who don't just walk their own path, they vanish from it when it no longer serves them. These are the Sigma females, unapologetically independent, profoundly introspective, and fiercely untouchable. They don't make a scene, they make an exit. Here's the twist. Studies show that nearly 50% of people experience heightened anxiety in solitude. But for Sigma females, that's their playground. While the world scrambles for attention and validation, these enigmatic women find power in invisibility. It's not about giving up. It's about taking back control in the most unexpected way. Why do they vanish? The brutal truth is far from cliché and closer to savage honesty. It's not because they're running, they're strategizing. They've mastered the art of leaving a room before it dulls their shine. And spoiler alert, if you think you're the reason they disappeared, you might just be right. Prepare yourself for a journey into the psyche of women who don't just break the mold, they obliterate it. Fair warning, you might laugh, nod in awe, and if you're honest, feel a little uncomfortable. After all, it's not every day you meet someone who redefines what it means to truly vanish. Number 1. Refuse to be a pawn. Sigma females vanish because they refuse to be pawns in anyone's game. Their independence is their strongest asset, and they guard it fiercely. They can sense manipulation from a mile away, whether it's a controlling boss, a toxic partner, or a so-called friend trying to use them as a stepping stone. Sigma females don't play along, they play smart. The moment they realize they're being pushed into a role that doesn't align with their values or goals, they're out, and they don't leave a forwarding address. This isn't about arrogance or superiority, it's about self-respect. Sigma females won't waste their time or energy in systems designed to exploit their talents while giving nothing in return. They understand the subtle ways people try to control others, guilt trips, flattery, fake camaraderie, and they're immune to all of it. Their strength lies in their ability to step back, assess the situation, and decide when it's time to exit. And when they do, they leave quietly, without drama or second-guessing. It's not that they don't care about others, it's that they care deeply about their freedom. Sigma females know that staying in a situation where they're reduced to a pawn will eventually strip them of their identity. They refuse to let that happen. They'd rather build a life on their terms, even if it means walking alone for a while. This ability to detach, to vanish when things don't align, isn't weakness, it's power. It's a reminder that they control their story, not anyone else. People might call it cold or calculating, but for Sigma females it's simply survival with style. Number 2. Masterful at being misunderstood. Sigma females often find themselves navigating a world that struggles to understand their unique combination of independence and introversion. Society, conditioned to value loud confidence and relentless networking, frequently misinterprets their quiet strength. They're seen as aloof when they're simply selective, and as detached when they're deeply observant. This misreading creates a gap that's rarely bridged. Instead of exhausting themselves trying to fit into predefined molds or explain their essence, Sigma females choose a simpler, more powerful option. They vanish. Their vanishing isn't an act of rebellion, it's an act of self-preservation. When they sense that they're being boxed into labels or roles that don't reflect their true selves, they step away. They don't need validation from environments that fail to see their worth. This departure often confuses people further, fueling the misunderstanding. But that's a risk Sigma females are willing to take because staying where they aren't truly understood feels like compromising their authenticity. The irony is that their misunderstood nature is part of their allure. People are drawn to their mystery, yet often fail to grasp the depth beneath their calm surface. Sigma females aren't antisocial, they're anti-shallow. They don't thrive in forced connections or environments that prize quantity over quality in relationships. Rather than endure the emotional fatigue of being misunderstood, they choose solitude or move towards spaces where they feel free to be their unfiltered selves. In a society that pressures people to over-explain, overshare, and overcompensate, Sigma females resist. Their silence isn't a weakness, it's their strength. Their vanishing acts serve as a quiet but potent reminder that being misunderstood is not a problem they need to fix. It's a reflection of a world that hasn't yet learned to value depth over display. Number 3. They're not waiting for permission. Sigma. Females are unapologetically decisive when it comes to cutting ties with anything that holds them back. They don't wait for someone else's approval to leave a toxic workplace, walk away from a relationship that's reached its expiration date, or step out of a community that stifles their growth. For them, life isn't about asking for permission, it's about taking control. They understand that staying out of obligation or fear only prolongs their unhappiness, and they have no interest in wasting time on what no longer serves them. This decisiveness often comes across as abrupt to others, but it's not impulsive. Sigma females are incredibly self-aware. They recognize when a situation is beyond saving and don't waste time hoping for it to change. They don't perform dramatic exits or seek validation for their choices, they simply leave. No drawn-out goodbyes, no explanations, and no second-guessing. Their motto is clear: if it's not right for me, I'm gone. Their ability to act without fanfare is what makes them so striking. While others debate, compromise, or procrastinate out of fear of upsetting others, Sigma females prioritize their peace of mind. They don't fear judgment or gossip because they know their worth isn't tied to others' opinions. What's most fascinating is how their quiet exits often leave people scrambling for answers. Why did she leave? Was it something I did? The truth is simple but profound. Sigma females don't need anyone's permission to protect their energy. Their vanishing isn't about hurting others or making a statement, it's about reclaiming their time and space. In a world that expects compliance, their ability to walk away without looking back is both revolutionary and rare. Number 4. Perfection is a myth they reject. Sigma females disappear the moment they sense an environment demanding perfection. They have no interest in chasing unrealistic ideals or conforming to rigid expectations that stifle individuality. For them, perfection isn't a goal, it's a trap. It's a static concept that leaves no room for growth, creativity, or authenticity, and Sigma females refuse to confine themselves to such a narrow framework. They understand that striving for perfection is often a mask for control. Whether it's a workplace expecting flawless performance, a partner demanding unyielding compliance, or a society pressuring them to meet impossible standards, Sigma females see through it all. They recognize that perfection isn't about bettering oneself, it's about suppressing individuality to fit someone else's idea of success. And that's a game they refuse to play. Instead, they're fiercely loyal to the process of growth. They value progress over polish, depth over appearances, and substance over shallow perfectionism. This perspective makes them disruptive in environments that reward conformity and penalize imperfection. Rather than bending to meet these static ideals, Sigma females choose to leave. Their vanishing isn't a retreat, it's a recalibration. They move toward spaces that embrace flaws, challenges, and the messy beauty of evolution. This rejection of perfection often unsettles others. After all, the pursuit of perfection is deeply ingrained in societal norms, but Sigma females don't care about fitting into molds designed by others. They thrive in spaces that allow them to experiment, fail, learn, and grow. When they leave, it's not because they aren't capable, it's because they refuse to waste their potential in environments that value appearances over authenticity. For them, perfection is the enemy of progress, and they will always choose to grow rather than stagnate in the illusion of flawlessness. Number 5. Refusal to nurture ego battles. Sigma females don't waste their energy on ego battles, and that's precisely why they often vanish from spaces dominated by rivalry and competition. For them, petty squabbles and one-upmanship are distractions, not accomplishments. While others jockey for attention, approval, or dominance, Sigma females observe from a distance, unimpressed and uninterested. They see these dynamics for what they are, exercises in insecurity disguised as ambition, and they refuse to participate. Their disinterest in these games doesn't come from a lack of ability. On the contrary, Sigma females are more than capable of asserting themselves. However, They see no value in proving their worth to people who measure success by how many others they can outshine. Ego-driven competitions are exhausting, shallow, and frankly, boring to them. Sigma females know that true strength lies in self-mastery, not in tearing others down. When faced with environments rife with toxic dynamics, whether it's a workplace full of backstabbing colleagues, a social circle obsessed with status, or a family trapped in constant comparison, they don't confront or argue, they simply step away. Their silence isn't surrender, it's strategy. They know that engaging in ego battles would only drag them into a cycle of negativity and insecurity, so they prioritize their peace instead. This approach often mystifies or frustrates others, especially those who thrive on competition. To them, Sigma females' refusal to engage can feel like a challenge or even an insult. But that's not the Sigma female's concern. By stepping back, she demonstrates a profound strength, the ability to walk away from meaningless conflict and focus on her own path. In a world obsessed with winning, Sigma females remind us that sometimes the smartest move is not to play the game at all. Number 6. Their strength intimidates. The strength of a Sigma female is a quiet force that doesn't need to announce itself, but its presence is undeniably felt. It's the kind of confidence that doesn't seek approval or validation, and for many, that's unsettling. People are conditioned to respond to the loud, the overly friendly, and the easily understood, but Sigma females are none of these. They're unapologetically enigmatic, choosing substance over show, and that aura of self-assured mystery often intimidates others. This intimidation isn't intentional. It's a natural reaction to someone who operates outside the norms. Sigma females don't overshare, don't seek attention, and don't conform to societal expectations of being perpetually accessible or agreeable. They are self-contained, which can make others feel uncomfortable or even insecure. Many people equate approachability with likability, and when faced with someone who doesn't seek to be universally liked, they misinterpret it as arrogance or aloofness. Sigma females recognize this reaction but refuse to compromise their essence to make others feel more at ease. They won't dull their shine, dilute their independence, or explain their every move just to fit into a world that values the overly familiar. Instead, they choose to retreat. This isn't an act of weakness. It's a conscious decision to prioritize their own comfort and authenticity over the discomfort of others. When a Sigma female vanishes, it's often because she's sensed that her strength and mystery have become barriers rather than bridges. She knows her worth and refuses to contort herself to meet expectations she never agreed to. Instead of softening her edges to suit the world, she removes herself from situations where she's asked to be anything less than her whole, unapologetic self. It's not about running, it's about refusing to shrink. Number 7. The art of cutting ties without scissors. Sigma females have mastered the art of leaving without chaos. When they vanish, it's not with slammed doors or lengthy goodbyes. It's with a calm, deliberate silence that speaks louder than any explanation ever could. They don't announce their departure or seek validation for their decision. They simply remove themselves when they sense that a relationship, environment, or situation no longer aligns with their values or growth. This quiet exit is their signature. They understand that words often complicate what actions can make clear. Explanations invite debate, closure invites more questions, and drama only wastes energy. For a Sigma female, the act of leaving is enough of a statement. It says, "I've outgrown this," without the need for confrontation or theatrics. Their approach can be unsettling to those left behind. People often expect closure, an apology, or even a fight. But Sigma females deny them this indulgence. Their silence forces others to reflect, sometimes painfully, on what went wrong. Was it something they said? Something they did? The truth is, Sigma females rarely leave because of a single incident. They leave because the overall dynamic has become limiting or toxic. Their vanishing act isn't impulsive. It's the result of careful observation and a quiet realization that staying is no longer beneficial. What makes this approach so effective is its finality. There are no open doors, no breadcrumbs, no lingering ties. Sigma females don't leave room for negotiation or reconciliation. They simply disappear, leaving others to grapple with the weight of their absence. It's not about cruelty or revenge. It's about self-respect. They refuse to remain where they aren't valued, and their silent departure ensures that their message is both powerful and unforgettable. Number 8. Masters of reinvention. For Sigma females, vanishing isn't an act of running away. It's an act of transformation. They see stepping back not as failure, but as a deliberate strategy to break free from stagnation and outdated expectations. To them, life is a continuous process of evolution, and sometimes that requires disappearing to recalibrate, reimagine, and rebuild. Sigma females understand that reinvention requires solitude. They need space to shed roles that no longer serve them, question paths they've outgrown, and redefine their purpose without interference. Whether it's leaving behind a career that stifles them, stepping away from relationships that limit their growth, or simply retreating from a society that demands conformity, their vanishing act is always intentional. They don't fear change. They embrace it, knowing that reinvention is the key to remaining authentic. This process often confuses outsiders. To others, their disappearance may look like giving up or even failure. But Sigma females don't measure success by external standards. They know that true strength lies in knowing when to pause, reflect, and start anew. They aren't afraid to strip away what's unnecessary, even if it means starting from scratch. When they reemerge, they often do so with a sharper sense of purpose, a refined identity, and an even greater air of mystery. The people who once knew them often find themselves awestruck, struggling to reconcile the new version with the old. This ability to reinvent without explanation is what makes Sigma females so compelling. For Sigma females, vanishing is not the end of the story. It's the beginning of a new chapter. Reinvention is their superpower, and their willingness to embrace change ensures that they remain dynamic, unpredictable, and entirely unforgettable. Number 9. Empathy burnout. Sigma. Females often exude an aura of independence, a calm presence that gives the impression they're impervious to the emotional turmoil that others might experience. But beneath that composed exterior lies a deep well of empathy. They feel things intensely, sometimes too intensely. Sigma females have a remarkable ability to sense the emotions of those around them, often absorbing the weight of others' struggles without even realizing it. It's not that they actively take on others' problems, but their natural tendency to empathize can make them emotional sponges, quietly absorbing pain, stress, and negativity from every corner. While this gift makes them excellent listeners, friends, and confidants, it also has a hidden cost. Over time, the emotional weight they carry starts to take a toll. It can be draining, being constantly attuned to the needs and emotions of others without the time or space to process their own. When this empathy overload becomes too much, Sigma females instinctively know they need to retreat. They don't lash out or demand others lighten their load. They simply vanish, stepping back to regain their energy and reset their emotional balance. This isn't a selfish act, it's self-preservation. Sigma females understand the importance of protecting their emotional well-being. They can't continue to be a source of support for others if they're running on empty themselves. Vanishing is their way of creating distance from the emotional drain and recharging, free from the constant pull of others' needs. It's often surprising to those around them when this happens. Sigma females are not ones to ask for help or explain their emotional exhaustion. They simply disappear for a while. Their absence is a quiet but powerful message that they are only able to give when they've taken the time to replenish what's been given away. Number 10. The fear of being used. Sigma females are naturally strong, self-reliant, and independent, qualities that often draw in users and manipulators. These people are instinctively attracted to strength, seeing it as something they can exploit to their advantage. However, Sigma females are acutely aware of this dynamic. They can sense when they're being reduced to a tool for someone else's gain, and the moment they detect this, they don't hesitate to make their exit. Unlike others who might tolerate being used in the hope that things will change or out of a desire to please, Sigma females recognize their worth and refuse to let anyone diminish it. They understand that being a reliable source of support, guidance, or resources doesn't mean being a stepping stone for someone else's success. The minute they feel their strength is being siphoned off without reciprocity, their response is swift and decisive. They vanish. Their exit isn't dramatic or accompanied by a confrontation. It's silent and final. Sigma females don't waste time justifying their actions or engaging in pointless arguments. The moment they sense manipulation, they know there's no need for further explanation. Their absence sends a clear message that they refuse to be exploited or diminished by anyone. This fear of being used is not rooted in insecurity, but in a deep respect for their autonomy. Sigma females value their energy, time, and effort, and they're unwilling to let anyone deplete those resources for selfish purposes. If a situation or relationship starts to feel like a one-sided transaction, they'll remove themselves without hesitation, preserving their emotional and mental well-being. Their disappearance is the ultimate act of self-preservation, refusing to be anyone's pawn. In a world that constantly demands conformity, attention, and validation, the Sigma female stands as a force of quiet rebellion. Her ability to vanish isn't a weakness. It's her way of asserting control over her life, her time, and her energy. She walks away not out of defeat, but out of self-respect, choosing to preserve her authenticity over placating a world that seeks to redefine her. Whether it's in relationships, workplaces, or social circles, her vanishing is a calculated act of recalibration, an opportunity to shed outdated roles, recalibrate her focus, and reemerge stronger, more enigmatic, and more aligned with her true self. The brutal truth is that Sigma females don't seek permission to exist in spaces that don't value them. They don't compete for approval, and they don't waste energy on people who fail to see their worth. Their strength lies in their quiet confidence and their refusal to bend to societal pressures. When they vanish, it's not to escape, but to evolve, free from the weight of others' expectations and the emotional drain of being used or misunderstood. In the end, Sigma females remind us that disappearing isn't the end of the story. It's the beginning of a new chapter, a chapter written on their own terms, where they redefine success and happiness, refusing to be anything less than who they truly are. And when they do return, they do so on their own terms, leaving a lasting impression that reminds us of the power of self-determination, resilience, and the quiet strength that comes from knowing when to vanish. If you've found yourself captivated by the power, mystery, and unapologetic strength of the Sigma female, then don't let this journey end here. Subscribe to the channel and be a part of a community that celebrates real, raw, and unfiltered truth. You're not just subscribing to a channel. You're subscribing to a mindset, a way of life that refuses to settle for anything less than authenticity. Hit that notification bell so you never miss another moment of insight, empowerment, and bold exploration into what it truly means to live on your own terms. Your next chapter starts now. Don't miss out.